Donald Trump did an interview with Real America's Voice, and he wanted to make the point that he doesn't feel people give him enough credit for how well he handled, what, you might ask? COVID. That's not how I remember it, Sir Donnie, but let's take a look at this and then we'll discuss further.
Doing it, and then we got hit with COVID,
Right.
and we had to help the people with COVID.
That's
you know,
right.
if we would have done that, this country would have, I don't think it would have existed. You know, it was, we did a great job with COVID. I've always felt that, you know, people give me a lot of credit on foreign policy and the economy and things, but they don't like doing it on COVID. I think I did among the best jobs on COVID because all of a sudden something came in that nobody had any idea what it was.
We were flying
But we
blind.
knew it was killing a lot of people. And, you know, I closed it to China when a lot of people didn't want me to do that. Almost nobody wanted. That saved a lot of lives. But, you know, the COVID thing, obviously we had to go guns a-blazing with the money, and we had no choice. Otherwise, you know, we had to help people. They wouldn't have been able, they lost their jobs. They were losing their jobs left and right. This was a shocking event. And we came up with things that nobody, you know,
We'll stop it there, but interesting that he's trying to make it out to be the case that from the beginning he knew this was just so serious and so many people were going to die from it, and so we had to do what we had to do. No, one of the top criticisms of your management of the situation was throughout so much of it, you made it out to be to those who trusted you that it wasn't serious. You played it down time and time again, and then admitted in private interviews that you didn't want to alarm people, so you were playing it down. But we'll even with Trump give some credit and then dive into more. I think, number one, it would have been hard for any president to handle a pandemic. It was a massive crisis, yes. Number two, I'm glad that he supported the vaccine development process, and someone like DeSantis has now made so much of his brand being anti-vax, so the fact that Trump, as a right-winger, is pro-vaccine with the COVID vaccine is good. And then he did support certain amounts of financial aid, which is also good rather than no financial aid, even though those packages were flawed. But besides that, he probably was the worst leader we could have had in that position of power during this crisis. And what I think represents that better than any other moment, even though there are so many very just as relevant moments as this one kind of sums up Trump as a leader during this period of time. Take a look.
Supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that has him in check, but you're going to test it. And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way. And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting. Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number on the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds.
Maybe you should have consulted with those medical doctors before saying this on national television, as if you're sitting at a bar just, you know, what if we got bleach, because that cleans stuff, right? And put it in our lungs, and then that would clean the COVID. Yes, and it would also be very damaging to your lungs, sir. And then we saw with masks, one of the things that public health officials early on said, listen, you can protect yourself and others by wearing masks. This was before the vaccine, so it's kind of, you can social distance, mask. There weren't too many things that could protect you, but masks was one of them. And he made it a point to make fun of masks and not take it seriously. Y'all remember all of this?
I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it. I don't wear a mask like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen.
Trump also shared a tweet claiming that masks aren't about public health, but social control, and that the image of Joe Biden wearing one endorses a culture of silence, slavery, and social death. So many different viewpoints, the president added.
President Trump went so far as to retweet this man
in a Florida bar. Take a listen.
I'm at a bar, restaurant. We're all having a good time. Not a single face mask. It's not that bad, guys.
I mean, the president retweeted that.
President even taking.
And we'll stop that compilation there. But that represents, with the case of Mask, how unserious he was in so many different areas. At a rally saying, slow the testing down. All this testing is making, not this exact wording, but him look bad because so many cases are being revealed. And in a moment when something so unprecedented, so scary, so uncertain for the American people, the need, as far as our leader, was a serious leader who would absolutely take the counsel and follow the advice of public health officials. Not because they know everything all the time about every perfect little whatever, but in a situation where you have a public health crisis, the people who will know best, give the best advice, in a general sense, are the public health officials. And he chose time and time again to side with his own ideas, like injecting bleach, or his own moments on camera when he could just spitball, or the most recent conspiracy floating around on social media, or wanting to downplay the virus so that it didn't make him look bad, and on and on and on, over the advice of public health officials. And so I would say, if I was giving advice to Trump, let's not make your 2024 campaign at all about your record on COVID, because it definitely was the case that the reason Trump was defeated in 2020 was because of his record on COVID, and people were fed up with his leadership. Let me know if you agree. Luke P. Beasley on Twitter.